Hey y'all, I'm Blake at Blake's at Southern Milling. We're here on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so things are about to get a little hairy in here in a good way, but I figured we would do a little tour here ahead of the rush so everybody gets a good look at everything. Head this way. Coming in the front door here, if you want to pan that way, the old Blake's Barbecue for 3 years was down that way about 3/4 of a mile. Then 3 years prior to that, it was in Dresden, about 10 miles that way. Coming in the front door here. Here we've got our wall of inspiration, wall of fame, whatever you want to call it. Just really all it is a lot of my buddies, and not all of them, but a lot of my buddies that have helped pave the way and inspire along the way.
And so how did you get into Texas barbecue?
Oh, it's a long story. Long story short, I discovered the existence of Franklin Barbecue and Louis Miller and thought I've got to go see and experience that. And did it and fell in love immediately. So here we are about 10 years later with a full-blown restaurant doing it. So the building was built, it was started in 1914, finished in 1918. It existed as a grain mill, an active grain mill for, well, and it not that full 100 years prior to me getting a hold of it, but up through I think the late 80s or so, mid 80s. But anyhow, I got a hold of it in 2019, right before the pandemic. We got started with the renovation process for about a year, and then the pandemic hit, so that sort of slowed stuff down. But we trucked on through. I was already committed, so we kept going, and fast forward, finished it up in early spring of 2022, and got open as soon as we could. So we opened here, transitioning from the food trailer down the street. Transitioned down here and got opened in mid-May of 2022. So here we are 2.5 years later, so rocking and rolling. I think in total, if we had every seat filled downstairs in both dining rooms and then in the bar and in our private dining upstairs, which we will, if we're busy enough on a Saturday night, we'll seat folks up there as well, even if there's not a private dining event going on. I think it's about 140, 145 in total. And we're getting in that time of year, holiday season, December, where it's not uncommon on any given evening to have 130 to 145 people in here at one time. All right, so behind you here is where the door that everybody walks in. Got a hostess stand here. We typically don't have a hostess on Wednesday and during the week at lunch, but today being a little bit different with a lot of holiday pickup orders, probably going to have one to sort of direct all of that. But typically you'd walk in the door, come on here. If there's a line, it forms right here. Got counter service. So these folks are at a cash register right now, getting their order taken. And then you can look through that gap and see where the kitchen's at. So food gets made in the kitchen, cut from the warmers, stuff out of the fryer, stuff out of the grill comes from down here and comes out, in the pass window. Come this way. And out this way. Typically, this is the doorway that folks, after they get their food, if they're coming to eat out here, they'll just walk back. So this isn't as much of an entrance as it is an exit. Right here, we've got our, what we were just talking about. Got a dessert counter. Come on by. Whitney, general manager. Got her dessert counter that was very much inspired by visits to Miller's in Belton and Truth in Houston. We've got some extra Thanksgiving goodies down there. Anyways, you order, fix your drink, you get a table number, and we don't give you like a sticker, but we'll say, hey, you're going to be going to table 20. So they'll come and find 20. And technically in the kitchen, we call this main 20. So that's what it shows up on the ticket board. And this is what we call our main dining room. We seat about 50 or so in here. If you want to look at these beams right here, come on by. You're okay. We're sorry. This right here is an original beam, so that's 104, 106-year-old beam right there. This as well. In the original structure, there was a ceiling at about 8 feet above our heads right here. So whenever we got ready to do the build out, I had seen a few places that had lofts like we have here, and we'll show you more of that later. But I like the idea of raising the ceiling all the way to the top, but having a loft to A, create a little more seating upstairs, but B, just have the feel, you know, it's just a cool open air deal for me. But anyways, this is main dining. Have our merchandise cabinet here, which is a little lackluster right now. We're getting it stocked back up right now, but we try to keep it pretty full with shirts and hats and candles, and we typically have some sauces and spices up here as well.
So do you get a lot of travelers that stop by, or?
Yeah, we get a lot of out-of-towners, you know, whether that's Texas, Indiana, you know, folks coming from Georgia, Atlanta area, or just more local, you know, Memphis, Nashville, or even closer. So we're about 2.5 hours west of Nashville, 2 hours north of Memphis. But there's a lot of towns in between that people will drive, typically on like a Friday or Saturday night, drive an hour, hour and a half just to eat lunch or dinner and go back home. But then we have a lot of locals. A lot of our daytime week business, so you know, lunches during the week, are local insurance salesmen, bankers, construction workers, people that I know if they're ordering when they come on a specific day, because they're probably going to be back tonight, you know. So we have a lot of locals that built relationships with over the years. A lot of those have been eating Blake's barbecue food for, you know, 8 or 9 years now. So that's pretty cool to still see them coming here. Here's a guy, he drives, how far away do you live? An hour? Yeah, so he drives an hour, hour and a half. I think he has other business that he's doing in town when he comes, but he comes all the time, once a week-ish. That's right, he's a good guy. This is what we call our south side dining. This was an existing room in the original structure. It's sort of an in-between the dining and the bar. Is we kind of use this as semi-private dining. Like, of course, you can still be seen and see everybody, but it's sort of in its own little nook. So it's a good place to seat, you know, a party of 20 or so. So here we have the bathroom area. A little side note, the community sink here was inspired by Hayes County in San Marcos on a trip I took in 2016 or 2017, and I saw their bathroom out there, and I thought, that's a good idea for a barbecue joint. What if you don't need to use the restroom, you just need to wash your hands, or you get barbecue sauce on you, but you don't need to go to the bathroom. You're not having to wait on the bathroom, and you know, it just creates a little opportunity there for both parties. But we've got, you know, a men's and a women's and a handicap here. So anyways, there's a story on that. Then we'll walk this way towards the bar. The bar was not an existing room in the structure to begin with. So this is a built on, you know, we laid concrete here. So here's the bar. It's, you know, it is 11:05 on a Wednesday, so we're not full in the bar right now. But we do get a lot of folks that come in here and eat. I would say it's usually about 11:30 or so, 11:45. This will be full with work parties. This will be full with work parties and stuff like that. So, and not a whole lot of people drinking it, but if you do, we'll take it. But we do seat this for just regular dining. And during the daytime, whereas we're quick service in the rest of the restaurant, you get full service in here. So if you're somebody who really prefers having a waitress and getting waited on at the table, we have table service. So that works out for a lot of folks. So here we are in the pit room. This is definitely a major step up from the first 6 years I was in business cooking barbecue, under which circumstances were me under a an outdoor awning. So we've stepped up a little bit here, but on this side over here, we've got one of my original 500-gallon smokers. I guess you would call it custom built on our cattle farm back in about 2015, early 2016. So I cooked on those throughout the Blake's barbecue food trailer days over the first, between 2016 and 2022. And these two here in the middle actually the tanks came from Michael at Syntex. I think he was just sitting on a few extra ones during the pandemic and hollered at me like, hey, I know you're building a restaurant out. Are you gonna need any 1,000-gallon tanks? So I'm like, yes, sir. So he helped me out with that. But we had these built just for the increased volume coming into the restaurant, and they were also custom built. They were actually built in Dresden, my hometown, which is where Blake started back in 2016. They were built at a local fabrication shop, Trevathan Brothers. So even though a lot of these people are coming for brisket, because I'm not gonna, you can think or say what you want in your mind. I'm not gonna say it, but we're sort of a brisket destination for West Tennessee, which is different. The way we have our menu set up, we don't have a lot of people coming and ordering dine in 2 pounds of brisket. You know, they may get a pound of brisket to take home, but the way we have our menu set up, we sell a lot of brisket by the third and quarter pound. So a brisket plate is a third a pound, quarter pound comes on the run-of-the-mill sampler. So we're able to feed a lot of people with brisket, but they're only getting a third to a quarter pound at a time. Instead of in Texas, you know, brisket is the main menu staple, and you've got folks like, you know, me and Ben here might walk in and order a pound of fatty brisket and not think a thing about it. So that said, during regular slower season, we're going through about 38 to 40 briskets a week. That's spread over 4 days. So obviously, you know, a little lower numbers during the week and higher during the weekend. During this busy season and the holidays, we'll bump that number up towards more like 50 or so. So, you know, 40 to 50 briskets a week, about 50 butts a week. That'll bump up closer to 60 to 75, you know, depending on what week and what all is going on. During this holiday season, roughly 85 to 100 racks of ribs, depending on any large, you know, takeouts and stuff like that. And then, let's see, 60, 120, 80, 200, close to 300 pounds of turkey a week, just for general purposes. So turkey's a big deal here. And some of those numbers could be off. I'll shoot them a message if, you know, whenever I do some calculation, but quite a bit more than the trailer, you know. And then we have just an extensive menu with, you know, burgers that we make out of all of our brisket trim. So we would do sausage, but sausage there's not the market for that around here like there is burgers. So we turn all of our brisket trim into burger meat. All right, didn't sound good. I don't cook as much as I used to, but I still don't have feeling in my hands from years of doing it all the time. So,
What kind of wood are you using?
there's actually some cherry mixed in there right now. Typically white oak, 80% white oak, about 10% red oak. Like I said, there's a little bit of cherry mixed in there right now as well, which is fine because that stuff burns good and hot. You know, some of this wood has been a little green lately, so that helps if fire's dwindling a little bit. But for the most part, white oak, which, you know, is a close relative to post oak, but we have enough of that. I'm not about to pay, and it's what I've been cooking on for all these years. I'm not about to pay freight for post oak, you know what I mean? All right, well, thank y'all for coming on the tour with us. I would love to see you out here sometime. Of course, we're sort of in the middle of nowhere. I guess technically, if you're traveling I-40, you know, say you're coming from Texas heading to Chattanooga or Gatlinburg or Nashville or something like that, we're an hour off the interstate. So if you make the trip, I promise you we will make it worth your time getting off. So that's a promise to you. But anyways, if you are able to make it or thinking about coming, we're open Wednesday through Saturday. We open at 11 a.m. every day, open from 11 to 3. From 3 to 4, we shut down just to do a cleanup, a turnover, and get ready for the evening service. So we open back up at 4, and then we're open on Wednesdays and Thursdays until 8:30. Fridays and Saturdays we're open until 9:30, and then on Saturday we open at 10 and have brunch. So you can get brunch and lunch menu from 10 until 3, close down until 4, and then we're wide open until 9:30. So anyways, hope to see you all out here.